Welcome to PAATH History.
Today we are going to discuss about the nature of feudal political structure. In respect of feudal structure, the historians and social scientists agreed that there were regional variations in Europe, and after the destruction of the Carolingian Empire, Europe was divided into two parts. Firstly, Gaul, which is now known as France and the Italian part of the empire, and secondly, Germany and Scandinavia. But in the 9th century, as a result of the foreign invasions by the Berbers, the common people of the border areas became dependent upon the local rulers for their own security and to secure their property. So the importance of the local rulers or castellan increased, and they introduced a parallel military and administrative system which weakened the central power. As a result of that, the feudal political system emerged in Western Europe, and it assimilated some of the old administrative protocols within itself. This new political and socio-economic condition was called feudalism. In its top, there was king, and under him there were some feudal lords as well as the dukes, earls, barons. Then there were the knights, and at the bottom there were peasants. The relationship between the king and the feudal lords was called lord-vassal relationship. The vassals became the men of their lord, and in return the lords usually allotted lands for their vassals, which was called fief. So the feudalism was actually a combination of vassalage and fiefdom. On the other hand, in the vassalage system, some of the old Roman and German political protocols were incorporated. For example, we can state about precarium, according to which the peasants begged land from the lords for themselves. They hereditarily cultivated the lands. The rich and influential Roman aristocrats used to appoint armed bodyguards with them. It was called patrocinium. The relationship between them was called patron-client relationship. Also, the Teutonic Franks introduced a new pattern of political ritual called comitatus. According to the historians, vassalage was actually a combination of comitatus and patrocinium. When a weak person surrendered to a stronger one, it was called commendation. All these protocols were incorporated in the new system of feudal polity, and according to Marc Bloch and François Ganchop, the period from 10th to 12th century can be called classical age of feudalism. Under the feudal structure, the total administrative unit was divided into smaller administrative units like pagus or gua. The in charge of pagus was called count, who was actually the representative of the king to apply the royal edicts in the local assemblies. The administrative laws were formed by following the Roman laws as well as the regional laws. The pagus was not only the administrative unit, but also it was a military unit, because count used to supply soldiers for the central army of king. For this purpose, count usually maintained a good relationship with the local castellan. As a result of that, the position of the castellan became strengthened, and they also became powerful in the local level. As a result of the introduction of feudal political system, political customs and institutions were also changed in between 10th to 13th centuries. In that case, the most important thing was the growing importance of the local assemblies, which were formerly an important part of German social structure. The character of local assemblies became changed and it became a very important institution within a feudal structure. In the time of war or in case of any problem, the local states used to call this type of assemblies. In the last half of the first millennium, Carolingian emperors also called assemblies at least one time in a year, particularly before any military expedition. Number of presence of the local small rulers was the indication of control and power of the emperor. But in the first half of the second millennium, all over Europe the presence of these local rulers decreased. France faced this kind of situation in 10th and 11th centuries and Germany in 11th and 12th centuries. As a result of the declining power of the central authority, we can see also an anarchical structure as well as continuous conflict among the feudatories. The weaker feudatories very often surrendered themselves to the king, and as a result of that, the king became actually the feudal superior. For example, in the 12th century, Philip Augustus and his successor Louis IX strengthened their power within a feudal structure. In that case, the central powers used the assemblies to establish their control over the feudatories. But on the other hand, the feudatories also used these assemblies to bargain for their own rights. In that case, the emperors offered them some feudal powers in return to their support to the king. Thus, some feudal laws were acting and the king also obeyed these laws. Where the feudatories succeeded to control the monarchical power by using these feudal laws, there the base of feudal structure became very strong. So this is the end of our today's discussion. Please subscribe to this channel, like our video and comment. Listen to our podcast episodes. Follow our official Facebook page, Twitter handle and Instagram. For any query, feel free to mail us. For details, see the description.